Donald Trump's attempt to distract from his dark past and cover up the Epstein files by invading Venezuela and threatening to invade the entire Western Hemisphere is backfiring in his face. Now, the Department of Justice had to file a report with a federal judge from the Southern District of New York, Judge Engelmeyer, where the judge called out the Trump regime and made them file reports to tell the judge the amount of documents that have been produced and how many documents need to be produced. Well, it turns out, are you ready for what the number is? About 20 million pages of Epstein files have not been turned over. 20 million pages. So the American people are not going to be distracted by Donald Trump threatening to invade every country in the Western Hemisphere because federal judges, independent media, the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, led by Congressmember Robert Garcia, are going to hold this regime's feet to the fire. I want to explain to you how I've derived at the number that there are 20 million pages that are missing from the Epstein files that have not been reviewed. Remember when I previously said I thought it would be more than 10 million pages? It turns out that it's at least 20 million pages. Let's go through this together. The first thing I want to share with you, though, is back, when was it? When Donald Trump was attacking former President Obama, and Donald Trump said, I guess with Obama's falling poll numbers, he's going to try to invade Iran. He's going to try to invade Libya. He's going to try to start World War III. No, Donald, you are the person who is starting wars to cover up your dark past. Now, Federal Judge Engelmeyer of the Southern District of New York made Donald Trump file and the DOJ file these periodic reports. Well, guess what? January 5th, we saw one of these periodic reports get filed. And here's what the report said. It says the government respectfully submits this in response to your honor's orders requiring that we do this. Then it says overview of work in progress and documents remaining to be reviewed to date. To date, the department has now posted to the DOJ Epstein Library webpage approximately 12,285 documents comprising approximately 125,575 pages in response to the Epstein Transparency Act. And there are more than 2 million documents potentially responsive to the act in various phases of review. So folks, let's just do a simple math formula. So if you go the ratio of documents to pages, so from the first batch, 12,285 documents equals 575 pages. That's about 10.22 pages per document. So if there are 2 million documents that have not been reviewed and turned over, you do 2 million times 10.22, you get the easy number of 20,440,000 pages. And that doesn't include photos, that doesn't include videos, that doesn't include audio right there. So that's the real number, 20 million missing pages. If you just accept what the DOJ said, and it may be way more than this, 2 million documents. Documents do not equal pages, right? Because we know it's about 10 pages per document in the first batch. That's how you get the number that I just came up with. Now, the DOJ claims that it has over 125 lawyers in the Southern District of New York, as well as dozens of lawyers from each of the U.S. attorney's offices in the Southern District of Florida, the Criminal Division of the Department, and the National Security Division of the Department working on this around the clock. So you have the entire Justice Department essentially working on this right now. Well, what the hell were they doing back in February? What the hell were they doing back in March? Remember when there were tens of thousands of overtime hours that were being charged when Bondi said, the files are all on my desk. Really, Bondi? The 20 million pages were on your desk back in February? Then in March, based on the great reporting of Jason Leopold over at Bloomberg, we know that there was about 1,000 lawyers and FBI agents working on it then, working overtime. Millions of dollars were paid in overtime hours to these lawyers and to these agents and to these contractors. So what the hell were they doing then? Were they destroying stuff, deleting stuff, obstructing stuff? Because I find it notable that Democratic Senator Van Hollen of Maryland put forward legislation demanding by law in a Senate appropriations bill that the DOJ cease and desist from any destruction and that they maintain their preservation obligations, and the MAGA Republicans in the Senate blocked it. They stripped it from the bill. Doesn't that tell you everything that you need to know right here? And I just find it so interesting. I mean, here was the post from Trump on October 9, 2012. Now that Obama's poll numbers are in a tailspin, watch for him to launch a strike in Libya or Iran. He is desperate. And Donald Trump made that post. What was it? October 9th, 2012, right? They say there was a tweet for everything. Or what about this one right here? August 31st, 2013. Be prepared. There's a small chance that our horrendous leadership could unknowingly lead us into World War III. I don't know, Donald. Kind of like you're doing right now. I want to share with you as well. You have the House Oversight Dems posting the following. We are sure it's just coincidence, but today is the statutory date for the DOJ to explain its redactions in the Epstein file productions. We have not forgotten, and we won't let up, regardless of the president's new unconstitutional actions. In other words, the Democrats in the House Oversight Committee, led by Democratic Congressmember Garcia, they are not going to be deterred because Donald Trump unlawfully invaded Venezuela and is threatening to invade Greenland and Mexico and Colombia and Cuba and you name the country in the Western Hemisphere. You also have the House Oversight Dems putting the following video on social media, a warning shot to Donald Trump. There's a lot going on in the world that's important, and that includes our work on the Epstein files. We won't forget, and we won't be distracted. The House Oversight Dems also post the Epstein files production we received from the DOJ last month was both incomplete and overly redacted. Entire pages blacked out with zero explanation. A clear obstruction of justice for survivors and accountability for co-conspirators. We won't stop until we get the truth. Explain this, Donald. Here's the video that the House Oversight Democrats put out. Let's play this clip right here.
Overnight, President Trump reaffirming that the United States is in control of Venezuela after the raid that led to the capture of dictator Nicolas Maduro.
Dozens of Cubans were killed in this raid. The Cubans saying at least 32 died in what they are calling combat actions. The Cuban Nicolas Maduro remains in custody after his capture by the United States. Trump's Secretary of State walking back the president's claim that the U.S. is now running Venezuela.
So while that's taking place, you have Melania Trump apparently and evidently, according to Michael Wolff, who sued her for threatening to sue him for defamation for him mentioning Melania's connections with Epstein. She said, if you don't retract and issue an apology, I'm going to sue you, Michael Wolff, for $1 billion, she said. Then Michael Wolff said, well, you're chilling my First Amendment speech there, Melania. So I'm going to sue you under New York's anti-SLAPP statute. According to Michael Wolff, she's avoided a service of process, and then she's trying to now remove the case to federal court from state court in New York in order to delay even longer. Here's what Wolff had to say. Let's play this clip.
Melania is a key part of the puzzle. What happened with Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump? Melania sheds an enormous amount of light. I got a letter saying you got to talk about Melania and Trump. Before they could sue me for $1 billion, we went into court and sued them. We filed that suit on October 22nd, and that's almost 10 weeks ago. One of the things that we have been trying to do is to serve the First Lady. Turns out to be very difficult. They're basically hiding. They don't want this to go forward because they've kind of screwed themselves. I file suit. That means I can subpoena them. That means I can ask Melania Trump, Donald Trump, all of their friends basically anything I want about the relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. That is something that I think they cannot let happen. We have not heard from Melania or her lawyers. They finally responded to us because they went into court to ask that our suit be moved from the New York courts to the federal courts. That's a delay tactic, which means that we have to start the service process all over again. She cannot let this happen. I mean, her options are to run out the clock on this, which they will certainly try to do. Every delay tactic that's available to them, they will use.
And this is all coming out as the last week or before the invasion, there were the reports about Epstein didn't go to Trump's spa in Mar-a-Lago in the 90s. Trump's spa went to Jeffrey Epstein. That Donald Trump sent the young girls, or the Mar-a-Lago spa sent the young girls. We'll just say it that way. From the spa, the masseuses and the manicurists and the staff to Epstein's home about 2 miles away, right there in West Palm Beach. And that Epstein would expose himself to the girls and sexually harass the girls and sexually assault the girls. Wall Street Journal said sexually suggestive conduct. You mean sexually assault? One of the young girls' fathers was threatening to go after Trump in Mar-a-Lago, so they pretended to ban Epstein from the spa, but he wasn't going there. The spa was going to him. In 2007, after Epstein cut the sweetheart deal with Alex Acosta, the United States attorney for the Southern District of Florida, who then became Donald Trump's labor secretary during Trump's first administration, after that sweetheart deal was entered into, Epstein is in page 6 of the New York Post, the main gossip column for celebrities at the time, that everyone who's a who's who A-lister read that. Page 6 it was called. Epstein said, I'm not banned from Mar-a-Lago. I just went to a party last week. He said that in 2007 in page 6 of the New York Post. So let's be clear, 20 million missing pages as all of this additional facts about Donald Trump's dark past was surfacing, including how Trump's spa went to Jeffrey Epstein, while all of these missing documents had been identified, with the MeidasTouch network leading the charge in identifying where these missing documents were. This is what goes down. This is what, and by the way, you know who nailed this as well? Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia. In December, he predicted all of this. He said, Trump is invading Latin America, Venezuela, he's threatening Colombia, he's threatening our sovereignty because that sick government of Trump are covering up child sex trafficking. They're covering up for the pedos, so they're starting wars and they want to steal our oil. Do not fall into the trap. Listen to what he said. We've translated this in AI, but he nailed exactly what was happening. Here, play this clip.
Un clan de pedófilos quiere acabar. A clan of pedophiles wants to destroy democracy in Colombia. Harsh, yes, but that's the stark reality. And to ensure that Liz never sees the light of day, they send their battleships to murder fishermen right here in our city.
And threaten our neighbor whether he is a dictator or not. How can the people of Colombia possibly applaud an invasion of their brother nation, not just the president, but the very people of Venezuela? When will this ever happen? Would we be such traitors, such sellouts, that we would betray our very own blood? Or are the people of Ecuador or the people of Panama or the people of Venezuela not our very own people? So, they want the president to do what Duque, that coward, wanted to do. Lend Colombia's land so that from there a brother country could be invaded, a country that shares the exact same history as us, because Bolivar was born there and came to die right here in this very city. Él así es.
It's just not possible.
Any president of Colombia who would dare to do such a thing, a president who will be cursed and condemned by all future generations, because he will never ever be forgotten but only remembered as a traitor. And I am certainly not one of those who wish to see Bolivar killed. I have indeed voiced numerous criticisms regarding the government of Venezuela, but I would never ridicule or make fun of the Venezuelan people, nor would I ever construct a trap for them to fall into, a trap of an invasion that is solely after their oil. What is wanted is greed and more violence to turn this beautiful corner of the South American continent into a Syria, an Iraq, a Libya full of slaves, of selling slaves, black people again. No, it's the list of Stein's friends, the one he absolutely does not want to be made public in the United States. They want to use us here, employing violence, so that the people of the United States won't reflect on their own government, but instead xenophobia, racism, notions of racial superiority, and other false ideas will rise up, and they use us to avoid discussing their own problems. The president of Colombia has spent decades denouncing drug traffickers, and the drug traffickers he denounced were always in Colombia's political power, in the state.
Now, finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't point this out as well. Thomas Massie points out that Donald Trump is attacking him again by supporting a primary challenge to Massie in Kentucky's 4th Congressional District, because Massie supported the discharge petition, and Massie pioneered the discharge petition in order to release the Epstein files. So the same way Donald Trump said that Marjorie Taylor Greene is Marjorie Traitor, because while she agreed with him on 99% of the things, she wouldn't cover up a child sex trafficking ring for Donald, so she was a traitor to Donald. Same thing with Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie writes, "It happened again today. Why do I get attacked weekly? It's because I'm exposing sex traffickers that Donald Trump's trying to cover up for." Massie shows this post from Donald Trump. Trump goes, "The incredible people of Kentucky's 4th Congressional District who want desperately to get rid of Thomas Massie, the worst Republican congressman we have had in many years, gave us a mandate to make America great again." Then he says, "That's why you need to support Ed Gallerin." Then he goes on to say that Ed Gallerin has my endorsement against Massie. He only votes against the Republican Party, making life very easy for the radical left. Unlike lightweight Massie, a true hater of Israel and a total ineffective loser who has failed us so badly, Captain Gallerin is a winner who will not let Kentucky down. 20 million missing pages, folks. We're bringing it right back, front and center where it belongs. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.